Weatherly International is a London-listed company that owns 2 copper mines in Namibia. It's recently released half-year results which show a return to profit. The chief executive is Rod Webster, who joins us now. Rod, welcome. How do you see your financial performance this year and the cash flow over the next 12 months?
Well, I'm pretty happy with the performance so far. As you're aware, last year we brought 2 new mines back into production, and we were during a ramp-up phase, so we didn't have high expectations. But as it's turned out, we've made about $7 million US profit from our operations, and we've also got a couple of one-offs that have boosted that to around about 13 million. So $13 million for the half year, I'm quite happy. Where's that going? I would expect the operations to contribute at least a similar amount, if not better. And that should take us to, well, north of $20 million for the full year.
The company, though, has been ramping up at a slower rate than expected. I mean, outline the issues you've been facing and the steps you're taking to address these issues.
At the end of last year, we had a review of our operations, and we decided that really there were 2 things we had to do if we were going to get to the levels of production and beyond that we hoped to get to. The first thing is we had to look closely at the way we contracted out our work, and as a result we decided to take the main mining contract and we've split it into 3 parts. One that just looks after the concentrator, one that looks after the crushing and conveying, and then we've put the mining contract, the core contract, we've put that onto a hard contract basis. In other words, the contractor gets paid only for producing, basically $1 per tonne. And we think at the same time we got rid of the previous contractor and have put in a contractor that was working at our other smaller mine, Matchless. And we'd expect that's going to make a big impact going forward. The other thing is that we've also opened up, or in the process of opening up, 2 new areas. And we think that will give us the extra flexibility we need then to get ourselves beyond our immediate targets.
When we spoke around about this time last year, shares were 15 pence or so. We've seen a halving of value of that pretty much. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, especially in the context of city broker Colin Stewart says that Weatherly International is trading at a 40% discount to net asset value, which really takes, I suppose, you back up to where you were this time last year. Yeah,
that's one of the strange things of the market, I guess. When I was sitting here with you last time, and we were talking about what we were going to do, the share price went up to 15p. Now that we've essentially done it, we're sitting here and the share price is sort of half that. I'm not losing any sleep over it. I mean, if we do deliver the full year as I'd expect, we're trading at something like 2 times cash flow. And that doesn't take into account any value for any of our other projects, such as Tschudi, which I think in its own right has a similar value or more.
Well, you're moving on the way to a feasibility study for the Tschudi mine, aren't you? It's an open pit mine, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct. It's an open pit project. It's also a heap leach SXEW.
Explain that
process. Well, what happens is, in this case, the copper minerals can be leached directly with sulfuric acid, and then the copper can be plated out in a tank house. So essentially we bypass the whole of the smelting, refining process. We go simply to a 99.99% pure copper product, which has enormous advantages, not the least of which is also much more cost effective.
You've recently released what you call a feasibility update report. How much further does it take you on that project?
That was an interim report. The final feasibility study should be completed around about mid-year. We've actually got a draft at this point in time. We're just putting the final touches to some of the capital costs, but we think we'll probably be in a position to sort of go public around about mid-year. And an important part of that will be explaining how the whole thing's going to be funded as well.
I mean, you are already throwing off cash, aren't you, as a company? Presumably that will be self-funding to some degree.
That's right. I mean, in terms of funding a large project like this, it helps enormously if you've got an existing cash flow. And by the time we get to, I guess, finalising the details, we should be generating internally something like about $2 million US surplus cash every month. But at this stage, we've got a surprisingly a number of options. A lot of people, a lot of banks have been in contact with us. They're very keen to be involved. We've had a lot of end users or traders very keen, to, of course, to tie up the amount of metal that's coming out. And on top of that, of course, we've got our strategic alliances with our Chinese friends in China Africa Resources. So we have got a large number of options in terms of how we fund this thing going forward. And it's just a case of us working through it and deciding what works best for us.
Finally, with a share price as it is at the moment, do you have to keep on looking over your shoulder to see whether or not anybody's eyeing you up as a possible target company? Is that something that you're dealing with?
I'm not losing any sleep over that. I mean, we carry on. If we continue the sort of the undervalued levels that we're at, I guess at some point in time there's going to be some reaction.
Okay.
In the meantime,
carry
on, business as usual.
Business as usual. Okay, Rod, well, let's hope when we next meet, your share price is back up where it was this time last year. But that's Rod Webster, the Chief Executive of Weatherly International.
This film is for educational and leisure purposes only. Proactive Investors does not provide investment advice. The company is a publisher and is not registered with or authorized by the Financial Services Authority. Please refer to the full terms and conditions on the Proactive Investors website.